Hello, everybody. Good morning. Today is September 21st. Happy to be with you. I'm James with MVP Interactive. Happy to provide another mentor session to you today. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with our questions. So the first question is coming in from Greg Mandel. I am contemplating purchasing a leads list. What is the best way to find a company that can provide me with a list that is right for my business? Apparently, I answered a question a while ago about sales pipeline, and he said it's time to buy a lead list. I have not tried that before, and I'm wondering what reputable companies are out there to do this. James also mentioned Tom Black can help with scripts and sales methodologies. Any guidance will be appreciated. So, I'm unsure what your business is, but in terms of purchasing lead lists, a good strategy to start rather than starting with a blind lead list company is to look at industry trade publications or circulations that are specific to your industry. From there, whether they're trade show companies or just industry newsletters, generally speaking, they'll offer a list of similar companies or a target audience that are specific to your industry. So I would definitely start there. And as way of example, when our company started, we were selling a lot of technology to professional sports teams and sponsors. And so what we did was there's a pretty well-known trade publication called Sports Business Journal. So we were able to connect with them and then purchase for $2,000 a 20,000 contact list of all senior executives and corporate sponsorship and marketers in and around professional sports teams and sponsorship. So it was a great strategy that allowed us to just make that investment and go ahead and hit the ground running in terms of our sales efforts. And so I would definitely look into any publications or industry-specific resources and start there. If you're unable to find any leads from that direction, there are database companies that allow you to do a far and wide search and download a comprehensive database of leads or contacts. Generally, they're run on a monthly subscription basis. They're a little bit more expensive. For example, Zoom Info is a leader in the space, but based on the platform that you choose to search and the information that is being able to pull from their database, they can be as much as $30,000 a year, which is, in my opinion, pretty egregious. However, there are other companies called Lucia that'll range anywhere from $300 to $600 a month that provides you a big database for your sales team that you can search contacts. What I like about them is they actually have a Chrome extension or a plugin that links any web search that you do. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you're browsing on a website, if you have this plugin, the list of contacts affiliated that they have in their database to that company webpage that you're on will automatically pull up, right? So let's see, 360media.com. I'm not sure what your company is, but if you're a media company, if you're looking to sell direct to consumer, I mean, you could do a search for, a regional website or any particular target audience, and right from that website itself, the plugin will pull up all of the contacts that they have in their database, so it makes it pretty seamless. The other strategy you can do is implement you can Google scraping robots, right? And so there are companies that will scrape industry websites or emails or scrub information for contact information of individuals associated with whatever webpage they're on, and then generate a lead list from there. And, sometimes they're, again, either a monthly subscription amount or you can pay per contact or, pennies on the dollar, for example, for, each individual contact. I would be a little leery of just blindly purchasing lists, or I wouldn't say leery, but just be on the lookout for bad information. And so a lot of these lead lists are stale. And so when you're looking for companies, definitely look and try to get assurance that the content is fresh and new, because what happens is a lot of these these lead lists are stale and they haven't been updated. So when you're looking for the right company, be sure to ask that question and how current the contact database is. And so that's critically important. And then from there, there are other platforms that you can take a database of emails and then run it through that engine, and then they can kind of ping the emails before you send any solicitation or emails out to make sure that they're still valid. So there's a lot of things that you can do to verify that, but number one is making sure that before you attach onto a platform to ask about how fresh and updated the contact list is. And then as far as Tom goes, definitely reach out to Tom directly. I'm sure either here in the Facebook group or on the mobile app, there's contact information for each of our members. Tom has been a great resource, and he's very reasonable to kind of work through any type of structure for coaching and what his resources look like. So I would just reach out to Tom directly, shoot him an email. But good luck with whatever you find and move forward. I hope it's helpful for you. So next question is coming from Eric. What are the Eric Avensi? What are strategies I can implement to go deeper with a specific industry to gain more clients? A little background on the question is ARO, Effective Marketing, is a full-service agency specializing in lead generation. See that, Eric? You may want to reach out to Greg with 360media.com and see if you can work together. But we assist our clients with branding, social media, advertising, and content creation services. The thought I had was to go to industry events where more of my target clients will be, maybe sponsor the event, be a speaker. What are your thoughts, and are any other suggestions you have that I could use to a larger market share with my niche? Yes, I always recommend attending as many networking events as possible for your industry. Being a speaker is a great way that you are, whether you have the experience or not, if you can find yourself in front of a crowd, it's going to give you the thought leadership and presence, the expertise, or at least the ability to show your expertise to a broad audience. And again, I have to think back when I got started. I attended a conference, and as a part of it, I didn't have much money to pay for the conference because, as you know, sponsorship can get very expensive, or conference attendance could get very expensive. But I was able to negotiate stage time as a part of my fee, and so I paid a little bit more. But even though my business hadn't really hit the scale that it has today, just being on a panel during this conference immediately legitimized who I was and what our business and what the value to our business, to the industry would be, the value proposition there. And so I think to me that immediately validated who we are, what the vision was at that time, because essentially that's all that I really had was the vision. But if you are an expert in your industry and you're confident in your business and the value that you'll bring to your clients, for sure, try to find stage time or be a featured speaker at any of these events. Another strategy is webinars. So if you want to host a webinar, it's very cost effective, obviously, as you can see with the way the platform runs here on Facebook. But if you're in a Facebook group or a social media group where you can send out an announcement that there will be a free webinar that folks can attend, and you're a featured speaker to kind of evangelize your products and expertise. It's a great strategy. It's something that's worked for us well in the past as well, although we haven't done as many as I'd like to or really should, but it's a great strategy. And then I'm certainly no social media expert. I think Sean is obviously the guru here in terms of building a brand and awareness for companies, but having your presence on these social media platforms, and if you're directly DMing individuals or companies or whomever your target audience is, having that online presence, maybe going live on these videos and such, could be another strategy for you. And but yeah, the more you're out there starting off is better. Now that COVID is sort of behind us here, where you don't have to focus on these virtual events as much, just getting out there, shaking hands, and collecting business cards. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a hoarding thing, but I still have a box of over, it has to be more than 5,000 business cards that over the years that I've collected. or if you're not shaking hands and, collecting business cards, back then COVID sort of taken away the transaction of a business card these days, but I can't stress how important it is to just be out there. And people buy from people they know, right? And so if they don't know who you are or what your services are, then you're kind of behind the competition on that end. So just get out there. All right. The next question is from Ricardo Delgado. Question they asked is, how do you weigh the costs and return with how many events and conferences you should attend with your industry to build relationships to get in the industry knowledge? A little background on the question is, I own and operate a barbershop business. I feel like it's necessary to always look to build relationships in my industry. I want to attend as many events as possible. Sometimes I'm not sure I'm getting a return. How can I better measure this? Very good question, and that kind of goes along to the first comment or the first question that we just answered. We generally try to stick to this philosophy that it just takes one, right? And so what that basically means is, if we attend an event, the goal is to find one new contract and get one new opportunity that will underwrite or repay for the investment that you took on to attend that particular conference. And so when we evaluate opportunities, we really just kind of have that methodology, and it's no special science or or equation, but we evaluate what it's going to take to sell one new product or service that will 10x the investment that we took on to attending the event. So a strategy that we do there is make sure that we try to book as many meetings or establish as many opportunities with folks before the said event, right? And so you have a full calendar of the amount of time that you're going to be there with meetings, right? And so that helps develop the relationship ever before meeting anyone, and then really getting in front of them to kind of sell your services. Your industry is obviously much different, as it's a barbershop and it's transactional and sort of direct to consumer here. So I don't know what the events look like for you, but I'd maybe where are your buyers going to be? I don't know if the trade shows for you are more sort of vendor based, where there's new lines of product and such, scissors, shampoos, etc. I'm not sure. I'd be a little bit more strategic on those, attending, but just go where your buyers are. And if you can just get to the theory of focusing on, where's the greatest opportunity to sell something that's going to reinvest the dollars that you spent in attending the conference, that's really what we go towards. So again, if you are investing into these larger scale, as my recommendation is, be a thought leader, try to get on stage, be a part of a panel. Sponsoring conferences can get very expensive quickly with very little return guarantee. So we try to stay away from that type of thing generally. Even when you have, I know a lot of trade shows, they'll sell exhibit space. Again, that's a tough sell because that's quite the investment. But again, if you are able to establish as many preset meetings before the show, that the opportunity to just get one to underwrite the investment, then that could be a good strategy. But, my approach has always been ground and pound, so to speak, with just getting out there, working a floor, setting up as many meetings as possible, and just meeting people. So, the old-fashioned way really works sometimes, and it is the most cost-effective. All right, the next question is from Kristen Pitts. Question they asked, how do I ask a client for a deposit on a bulk order? I'm a startup golf apparel wholesaler with limited cash flow. I'm selling clothing to golf course pro shops. I also work a second job as the COO of my dad's golf business, where we buy from vendors for 10 golf courses, pro shops. The vendors only collect from my dad's business 30 to 90 days after shipment. No deposits needed. Being that I'm a startup, I need a deposit in order to place an order with my manufacturer. How can I get new buyers to trust me to make a deposit on a bulk order of my clothing? I have a sales report for my first year in business and can show that I'm in my dad's 10 shop. So I'm sorry that if you have a challenge and if it's not industry standard to collect deposits, but I think 100% it is acceptable and appropriate to require these down payments or these partial payments for bulk orders. I don't think that there's a buyer if you're dealing with volume, a buyer out there that wouldn't accept a deposit. To your point about your father's arrangement, as your business grows and you're seasoned, your vendors and your suppliers are absolutely going to provide terms. But that takes a little bit of time before you get there. And so you're absolutely right. As a startup, you have to build a relationship with your vendors before, they'll give you what's called terms or payment terms that are extended beyond, the time frame of the order. And so if that is not industry standard to your clientele to collect a deposit, one strategy that has worked well for us is to offer deposit discounts or paid in full discounts. Ideally, we like those the best. And so, yes, it may cut in a little bit of your profit margin, but 3% to a buyer goes a long way versus, losing 3% on your profit margin, because the philosophy that I have is the longer you're waiting on collecting payment, that money becomes more expensive for you because you still have bills, and now it's what's called factoring your deal, right? Where you're now pulling resources or, paying interest rates on your credit card that you wouldn't normally be paying on if you had a timely payment. And so you need to figure out what that percentage of a discount is, because it'll create more value, and it's a win-win for everyone, right? So the way that we sell these paid in full discounts is, hey, you're going to save money by making this purchase. We're going to save supply chain issues or time delays where we're going to be able to fund the entire project in advance because we have the purchasing power to aggregate and purchase everything that we need to supply your order. And so generally speaking, people are receptive towards that. Again, I don't know if you're direct to consumer or you're going right to I think you're going right to the golf course. And so that's something that they are, A, capable of being able to do, and B, really appreciate the discount. And so, I think it's completely appropriate to offer or to demand, really, a deposit. And if it's 50%, if it's 100%, if it's 20%, whatever that is to make your operations work, I'd go for it. Anecdotally, it's one of the reasons why the Costco business model works really, really well. They have vendor terms with all of the products that come into their warehouses that, don't require payment until 90, 120 days out from the delivery. But the Costco model is that they sell out of inventory in advance. And so they're always cash flow positive because their bills aren't being paid until 3 months after, they're completely sold out. And it's part of the reason why you can't always get the same thing twice at Costco repeatedly. It's just a really smart business model in keeping them flush with cash and extending out their payments. So it's a bit of a nuance for your accounts payable and receivable, but long-winded way of saying yes, absolutely demand a deposit, and just try to think of creative ways that your buyers are going to accept that. But I would certainly require it. All right, next question. Ricardo Delgado, question they ask: how can I incentivize employees to stay longer with my company? I own and operate a barber business. I feel like if I can find a way to give the employees stock share or bonuses, that would incentivize them to stick around more and grow the business. If there's any strategies that you have worked out there, I would like to hear about them. Thank you. So in terms of stock shares or equity, my position over the years has slightly changed on this, in the sense that number one, that should be, unless they are absolute founders and contributors financially to your business, be very careful with giving out equity or ownership to the business, because with a barber business, I'd imagine that there is quite an investment to get started. If you're the only one that has sort of sacrificed what it needed to kind of build the business and to start the business, you're going to want to retain as much ownership as possible, because even if you look to bank for financing, you're going to be the main person responsible for being able to get approved. And so the owner of the business needs to have a good financial standing, as well as the most ownership that any partners won't get in the way. So if you give equity to anyone over 10 or 20% of the business, now banks are going to require their credit report and their financial background that may jeopardize what you're capable of doing personally. So I'd be a little bit careful up front on the equity piece. I'm a big fan of performance-based bonuses, and it doesn't have to be financial. You'd be surprised how rewarding it is for your colleagues to receive gifts based on performance. Job well done. I try to always bake in a performance trigger in every profit margin or pricing that I establish for my business. And so, if we hit a profit margin over X number, let's call it 40%, I can allocate 2 to 3% of that and redistribute it to the business in terms of, employee bonuses, and knowing that I still at a 37% profit margin is really effective. And so, I've done cash in the past. I mean, of course, people love cash, but when you do specialized gifts that have that personal touch and feel to it, that it may not be even tied to a bonus, it really goes a long way. I remember one year we had moved offices, and I'm downtown Philadelphia in a city. By luck, a lot of our employees were in a walking distance of our location, our office location, but when we had moved, I extended the commute. And so what I was able to do is, we had a good project that we were working on. It fell within our profit margins, but I purchased e-scooters for 2 team members that did a great job on their project, and knowing that, hey, here's an easier way to get to work. And I mean, it was the most rewarding, practical bonus and gift that an employee received. And, obviously they're still here and they're very happy. So I would look into loyalty and performance-based bonuses. Going back to the equity or the shares, if you have, what makes that really most valuable is if you obviously have an exit plan or an exit strategy, or if however your business model looks to scale, if there's real opportunity to multiply the company's value, then yeah, you may be able to get into a stock option plan and allow employees to kind of invest in the business. But again, I don't know what your business model is for the barber shop, but if you're looking at franchise or go scale, and you know that you're going to be acquired, then yeah, maybe down the line an ESOP plan or some type of stock options could be an option. But I think in your stage, it probably makes more sense to think of real creative strategies to reward your colleagues on work well done, or if there's efficiencies that they've been able to create in your business, reward that. You can't do it alone, and team members are important. And of course, you'd want everyone to stick around forever, but in this job market these days, and just the general traditional work method has changed, it gets a little bit more challenging to kind of have folks stick around for 5, 7, 8, 10. I mean, geez, our parents, stuck around companies for 15, 20, 30 years, right? And it's really not the job market these days as often as it was in the past. But good luck. I hope things kind of work out there in terms of your employees sticking around. All right, final question is from Robin Turpin. What ideas you have to build relationships with other local businesses in my area? I'm an independent artist and I sell my art to art enthusiasts, and building an online e-commerce store. In order to build my audience locally, I'm looking for ideas you may have to best network and get involved in the local community. Thanks. Not my expertise in terms of e-commerce, or at least the business, but in terms of just networking, the Better Business Bureau has an easy resource that you can really target like other businesses in your area, cataloging, geolocating where those businesses are, and maybe you can start a direct marketing strategy as a result of that sort of geolocated business list. If you're selling directly to other businesses, it sounds like you're going just to general individuals. So again, leverage the power and the scalability of social media. It's free and it's effective. I'm not an expert there, but I think you have plenty of resources that you can join, or at least get information from other mentors in the group here, where you can join Facebook groups in your community. Maybe you can start a Facebook group. The social media, the Instagram platform, with being able to really create your presence there, and you can geolocate your ads and things of that nature. But that would be my recommendation. I'm sorry I don't have too much personal experience in going direct to consumer in a local community, but I feel like those strategies have been proven pretty effectively with similar companies like yours. So that is my time today. I hope it was valuable as always, and I look forward already to next month's session. So have a good day. Bye.